Hi there! Welcome to what's happening in Brazil. Let's start with the latest news from the country.
In the climate summit organized by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, President Jair Bolsonaro said that Brazil is in the vanguard of the fight against global warming. His speech took place on the morning of April 22nd. Bolsonaro committed to eliminating the illegal logging in the Amazon until 2030, and he said that he has strengthened environmental agencies and doubled the resources for prosecuting this crime. But the data shows a very different reality. Operations to stop logging in the Amazon and the burnings in the Pantanal region were suspended by the government in August of last year after the government put a financial blockade on the institutions that do this work. In 2019, the first year of the Bolsonaro government, the resources allocated to combating climate change were cut by 95%. The vaccination of priority groups, expected to be completed in May, was once again delayed, and now it is projected to conclude in September. The information was shared on April 21st by the health minister. According to the report, the delay is due to the lack of imported raw materials to produce the vaccines and the delay in the delivery of batches from suppliers like the COVAX facility of the World Health Organization. The priority group consists of 77 million people, which includes the elderly, healthcare professionals, and indigenous people. 27 million people have already taken at least the first dose of the vaccine. However, while the wait for the arrival of the vaccines continues, COVID continues to spread across the country. On April 20th, the number of total infected surpassed 14 million. In less than 1 month, more than 2 million new cases were registered.
This April, one of the most violent actions to ever take place against rural workers, the massacre at Eldorado dos Carajás, marks its 25th year anniversary. On that day, 21 peasants were killed by police forces during a peaceful protest for land reform in the state of Pará.
April 17th, 1996 is a day forever etched into the history of the peasant struggle. On that day, the country witnessed the massacre at Eldorado do Carajás, one of the most violent actions undertaken by the Brazilian state against rural families.
I was there with my wife and kids. They shot a comrade of mine who fell at my feet. I looked over, saw the bullet wound. He was already dying. It was at this moment that my family and I ran into the woods. They remained there on the highway, shooting, cursing, calling us vagabonds.
Thousands of landless workers blocked a highway in Pará in a peaceful protest demanding land reform. The state's military police arrived on site, shooting at protesters. 21 people were murdered. Until today, none of the 155 policemen that took part in the operation have been convicted.
They advanced shooting already, always at the head. There were 3,000 people in the middle of the road. There were babies, some who were still nursing.
Today, the massacre is remembered by the Rural Landless Workers Movement, MST, every April through a series of protests and actions calling for agrarian reform in what is known as Red April. Because of the pandemic, this is the second year in a row in which these protests are conducted remotely.
We turned this into a form of resistance. Unfortunately, in our country, you have to die for land. But we won't forget these martyrs. They live on, and our resistance and a lot of hope is reborn. This is what we bring to the forefront today. Resistance, the continuation of the struggle for land, the continuation of this dream of having lands liberated.
They thought, we are going to kill everyone, end it right here. We are going to finish the MST off. This is what they imagined, but they were wrong. They didn't shut us up. We keep on and we will continue to fight. As long as we have people thrown away in the outskirts of cities with no land, with nowhere to live, we will fight.
Let's now go to the city of Petrolina, located in the state of Pernambuco. There, we will meet a school teacher who has transformed local legends into internet videos and a book.
When I was a child, my grandma told me a story, the legend of the giant snake. Legend says that under that rock lives a giant snake that is tied down by 3 strings of Our Lady's hair. One day, this snake will be released and will swallow the city. To make things worse, my grandma said that 2 strings of hair had already been loosened, and only one is still tying this giant snake down.
This story is one of the many legends that are part of the enchanted universe of the São Francisco River, which flows through 5 Brazilian states and feeds the imagination of the people who live on its banks. Even the origin of the river is explained in a legend. It would have been born from the tears of an indigenous woman who longed for her fiancé, who left for battle and never returned. In spite of all this cultural richness, the region's folklore is little valued even in Brazil. This is what inspired Bruno to share the stories that his grandma told. He started on the internet with a video that had more than 1 million views. Later, he compiled these legends into a book.
I wanted to bring that sense of belonging to Petrolina for the children. Reading a book and imagining yourself inside the story. Dad, it's in my city, the magic happens here. I also want someone from far away to read this book and think, dude, I want to live in Petrolina. The same way I wish that I lived in London when I was a child and read Harry Potter.
And now it's time for Brazilianism.
Today we'll be making roasted fish wrapped in foil with couscous. We have to first hydrate the corn flour. Here we have half a cup of water. I'm gonna put a teaspoon of salt, then put this directly into the flour. It's well hydrated. I'm gonna cover it and let it rest for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, it's ready to go into the couscous pan. Since this is a little one, I'll let it cook for 10 minutes. I'll now cut the tilapia fillets in half. I brush it with olive oil, salt, and black pepper. First, I roll up the thin one, then the thicker one. Lastly, I put in a wooden pick. At the bottom, I'll put the onion, a little bit of garlic, my bell pepper cubes, and tomatoes. I season it with salt, pepper, and a bit of olive oil. I'm gonna place the fish in. On top of it, lemon shavings. Now I add a little bit of coconut milk, 1 more spoon of olive oil. I close it and take it to the preheated oven. Now we grab the couscous and take it out with a knife. Put it on a plate and flip it over. I'm gonna get the couscous and loosen it up. I add the chopped zucchini, the carrot, a lot of parsley, salt, black pepper, and a lot of olive oil. Just mix it together. Look at how pretty it is when we unwrap it.
Liked the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We'll see you next week.